We do have Dave King and Matt Martin, and we are joined by Mayor Pope. We're going to get right to the phones. Mayor, how's it going?
Good, okay, Matt. Good morning. Good morning, Dave.
Good morning. Yeah, thanks for coming on, by the way.
Yeah, it's good to be with you guys.
So the first big question I had as far as what's going on is how do you feel like things are going? As you look at the numbers, it seems like they're down in Lubbock. So how do you think things are going as far as the COVID-19, and how does the reopening seem to be going?
Well, I think let's start with how our sort of health report. I think we seem to be in a good spot from a standpoint of understanding more about the virus every day, and our numbers have our new cases, at least as a percentage of tests, are going down. We have our active cases are going down, and we've got plenty of hospital capacity. Those are the three numbers we're following the closest and have been now for a month, and so we feel pretty good about that. And I think that that feeling allows us to restart things, to phase things in, to warm things up, to reopen, whatever we might want to call it. That allows us to do that, and I think do it safely. And I'm encouraged. I ate lunch yesterday at a downtown eatery that was at their, I would say they were very close to their full 25% capacity, and the day before I ate at a different place that wasn't quite as full. But I'm talking to business owners and restaurateurs, and I think people are starting to get back in the habit of going out, and I think that's good. It's not a light switch kind of thing. I don't think we thought it would be, and I think we now know it was not. It's going to take it's more of a gradual rebuild.
Well, Mayor, what is your biggest concern about opening up the city again?
I don't. I think we can. I do believe we can do it responsibly, Dave. I don't have a. There's nothing that keeps me up at night about that. I think if I were to have a concern, it's probably that we've got Mother's Day weekend coming up, and we think about our moms and our grandmoms, and we just need to be real careful this weekend. There's one situation that we're dealing with in Lubbock County that happened Easter weekend with 3 generations of a family that got together, and it was a bad decision. One of them was positive, COVID-19 positive, and it's had a number of repercussions. And we don't need things like that to happen. We want, I think maybe the best thing you can do for Mom on Mother's Day is to get on the phone with her. And if you've not been around your mom a lot, if you don't live with her or not around her a lot, and you're lucky enough to have your mom, I think let's not do anything silly this weekend. That would be my only concern, I guess.
Yeah.
So Mayor, as far as what the governor's come out with, I know that Lubbock had other ideas with the task force that they put together. What kind of differences do you think that it would have been if Lubbock would have been able to open the way they were looking at?
We probably would have reopened. The suggestion certainly was to reopen a little more robustly, a little quicker. I think council would have supported that. I think our numbers support that. But I think we would have started with 50% maybe versus 25%. We would have gotten hair and nail salons, the personal services piece open a little bit quicker. I think the governor's gotten where we were. It's just taken him a little bit longer, and he's got a different perspective certainly than we do. It made for an interesting bit of of political theater, and that we're the ones that had to make the decisions to close things down. But he's taken over with the decisions to restart, and I get that. I mean, it's certainly his prerogative, and it's in his authority, and we respect that, and we're going to try to do all we can to get our economy. We need to get people back to work, and that gets our economy going. And men and women need to go back to work so they can, put food on the table, and that's very important to me.
Mayor, let me ask you this.
Yes, sir.
One of the concerns, and I don't hear a lot of talk about this, but it seems to me like that on a city, a state, and a national level, governmental budgets are just wrecked. Do you have any sense about what this is actually costing in tax revenue for the city?
That's a really good question, Dave. And we spent a lot of time on our budget and our financial position. We'll announce today or tomorrow that really good news from we met with the credit rating agencies last month. It was our normal time to meet with them. We meet with them annually. So in our case, it was Fitch and Standard & Poor's, and I was involved in those meetings along with Mr. Atkinson and our chief financial officer. And they all they affirmed our ratings. In fact, one of our ratings went up. And so, they've looked at our balance sheet. They've looked at our planning for the future. We feel like that the biggest impact we will see short term is sales tax revenue. We have not seen our exact number yet or the details of it, but we think our sales tax revenue that we'll get on May 20th will be down about 5% year over year, which is better than what we had planned for. In our planning, we had planned for that number to be off 10%. So we were conservative, and that's good news. We expect that's not the only one of those numbers we'll see, and so we're planning for that. The CARES Act helped us shore up our airport. That was one of those areas that the operations there are very much impacted. The CARES Act also had some impact for transit systems. We're thankful that we don't have a big transit system. Even though City Buses doesn't stand on its own and we support it from the general fund, I'm glad we don't have light rail. I'm glad we don't have the debt that goes along with some of those systems around the country. I'm also glad we don't count on tourism and travel to the degree many cities do, for whether it's travel for fun or travel for business. That's a big part of our economy. I'm not trying to talk it down. However, it's not something that floats our boat, and we're fortunate that we don't rely on that. And I think those things portend well for us in the future.
All right, Mayor, I apologize, but we have to take a quick break. We'll be right back with Mayor Pope after these messages. All right, we're talking to Mayor Pope here on 95.1 FM and 790 AM KFYO. And Mayor, one of the things that's hit the news, as of yesterday, I guess, is that Covenant Health is going to offer COVID-19 antibody testing. How is that going to help Lubbock, and what's the positives of that?
Well, first of all, we're excited that they're doing that. I think UMC is also doing antibody testing. Theirs is focused on first responders. Covenant is wide open to the public. I think part of our recovery effort is more testing, and it's not just the testing we've been doing to understand whether someone is infected or has the virus. It's this antibody testing is a big part of going back to work, going back to school, and trying to understand how many of us have actually been exposed and have developed those antibodies to fight it off. Many of us may have done that asymptomatically, and so we are very pleased that they're doing it. I think they had 150 yesterday on the first day with very little press, and I know you guys we're talking about it now. It's been everywhere. They got a nice article in the AJ today. I saw the TV stations covered it last night. So it's good stuff. It's a big part of the recovery. Matt, one of the keys to where we are today is our health systems. Not only are they strong, but UMC and Covenant have led the way with testing. We've tested, I don't know what the number is, 8,500 people roughly right in our community. So we are still about twice the average of the state on a per capita basis of testing. And we do it because we've got a bunch of different places in town you can test.
Yeah. So we did have a text messenger that had an interesting question. He wanted to know, can food trucks open? And, restaurants are opening at 25%. A food truck, you can't really open at 25%. So what does that look like?
I don't know the answer to that, Matt. I don't know why not, but why don't make sure they they reach out to us at City Hall, have them call the City Council office. They can call 775-2024 and or send me an email. We'll get an answer. We've got somebody that's working full time on helping us answer those questions. I would imagine they could be in business with the right kind of social distancing and sanitation, but I've not had that question posed to me.
Well, there was food trucks. There were food trucks open this weekend down at the old Sutherland. So obviously you're able to do that. Another texter wanted an update on Citizens Tower, Mayor. Who's moved in?
Yeah, so I'm parked right in front of it right now. I'm about ready to walk in, and I would say that we're about a third of the way moved in. We're quickly moving folks in. We've got the first floor, so we've got the customer, the citizen-facing part of the operation is open. So if you've got a question about a permit or about building safety or engineering, you enter the first floor on the east side, and we have a one-stop shop there. I think one of the really cool parts of the design of this is a much better interface for our citizens. So that's open. We will have our first council meeting on Tuesday night in the chambers on the first floor. And then we've got the second floor is pretty much moved in. The fourth floor we're working on. The 10th and 11th floors are pretty much moved in. The basement's been. A lot of those folks have been here from the beginning. Those are our technology people that we had to get them in before we could start moving. But we're about a third of the way there.
All right,
well,
Mayor. Yeah. One of the questions I had about the COVID-19 opening, I don't know how Lubbock was going to look at it, but I know that the state of Texas seems to not be able to tell how to open a bar. What's the difference, and what's the problems with opening a bar versus opening a restaurant?
Well, it's a great question, Matt, and I think it's we felt like you could safely do it. We would have done it with pretty strict occupancy kind of requirements. Maybe start at 25%, work to 50%. Bars are by nature, some of them are pretty small, and people are close together, and so it's going to be different, I think, going back to bars. But I think it's important that we find a way to look at that in a rational way and find a way to reopen them. We're in a college town. There are a lot of our people, a lot of our kids that go to school here. Their jobs are in places that we consider as bars, and we talk about putting people back to work. It's not just mom and dad with family. It's also the kids that are part of our economy that go to Texas Tech or South Plains College or Wayland or Lubbock Christian. Yeah. So I think we can find a way to do it. I think our task force has done a great job, and I'll kick that to them. I'm sure they'll find some. We continue to share ideas with the strike force, with Governor Abbott, through our local members who've been fabulous. Both Mr. McDougal and Ms. Moran have been really helpful for us as we try to get good information to Austin. By the way, the school reopening plan that was announced, the outside plan, it basically looked like the plan that Friendship, Lubbock Cooper, and Lubbock ISD did together. I was really proud of that work also.
Yeah, Mayor, one quick question. We're running out of time, but of course you're familiar with this story that's come out of Dallas about the hairdresser that opened up her business, and the judge sentenced her to 7 days in jail and $7,000 fine, something like that. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's silly. I think it's we're spending our time on that kind of stuff. We should be trying to safely reopen our economy. And we've taken the approach locally that we're out trying to help people reopen safely, and some of them haven't maybe read the guidelines right. And we may have to give them some, but
we're out of time, Mayor. I apologize. We're gonna thank you so much, and thanks for coming on.